Congratulations, kid. You've made it to the final circle of the all-night endurance challenge. Tonight, I'm not guessing your phone battery. Now, right this second, cross your right foot over your left. Find that oddly comfortable position. Breathe. In 3 seconds, we're dropping you into the wild. Follow the cast. Lean in. Feel the world of ice and relentless cold close in. Wilderness survival has always been a game for the solitary. Cold favors the patient, the careful. But this time, young Thomas breaks the rule. He's not alone. He brought his girlfriend, and together they step into a white forest sealed by snow. Thomas swings an axe and strikes first. Sparks fly, a steady rhythm. He gathers small, wiry branches like tiny trophies. Across the clearing, his partner moves fast. She snatches a shovel, 3 decisive motions. A supply is boxed in before you blink. They shrug off the cloak from their shoulders and lay it flat on the ground, a makeshift floor. Pieces meet, seams align, stakes driven into the snow to anchor them to the earth. Thomas saws wooden poles to the right length, each cut measured, each piece deliberate. Those poles become the spine of their tiny refuge. From a distance, he tensions the guy lines until a shelter that felt impossible an hour ago breathes open like a hidden room. A space unfolds, modest but wide enough to feel like a small island in the white. The backcountry here shows no mercy, not for the careless. Low temperatures, hunger, getting lost. Any one of these can demand a mortal price. Now, they must coax a small flame to life in the teeth of winter. Snow makes kindling damp and stubborn, but when they move together, warmth pushes through the cold like a stubborn bloom. To keep that fire alive, Thomas shoulders his axe and pushes deeper into the forest. He hunts down brittle, dead saplings. Quick hands, sure cuts. With enough dry wood, the fire swells, flame building into comfort. At this point, the mercury has fallen well below freezing, a raw kind of cold that bites and lingers. They brew a single pot of warm tea and sip from the same cup. Steam and shared breath. Fine snow keeps falling in curtain-like threads, but with a fire sheltering them, the cold recedes into the background. They feel, strangely, not alone. Night comes quickly in these parts. Thomas takes charge of the meal. He roasts an entire bird over low coals, slow, patient. It looks like the kind of food that aches with nostalgia. With a few shards of ice on the side, you could fill 3 bowls of rice. That's how satisfying it smells. On nights like this, with hot food and the company of someone you love, sleep feels guaranteed. A deep, honest sleep until morning. They wake and begin packing. The tent converts again, cloak mode, flung back over their shoulders. Shoulder to step, they head north. They cut through a quiet ridge, one path after another. The weather is indifferent, unchanged. They walk with shallow steps, testing the surface. A small iced stream tries to block the route, a minor barrier that asks them to choose. Thomas charges ahead, but when they lift their heads, they notice they're being watched. This territory's owner stares back. For a breath, unease ripples through. Luck smiles. They discover a natural shelter tucked away like a secret. When fate drops a gift like that, you take it. This new refuge is surprisingly roomy, grand compared with the thin tent from last night. The girlfriend, chilled through, slips inside and burrows into warmth. Thomas is handed the chores: wood, axe, tending the fire. A silence that lasted long in the white forest softens with smoke and small domestic tasks. Quiet, but threaded with gentle romance. They roast, they warm, and icicles on the eaves slowly yield and drip. A little of the ice melts, literally and metaphorically. Another handful of snow goes into the pot, and tea drives half the cold away. When the coals brighten to embers, Thomas begins prepping a romantic supper for 2. After yesterday's whole roasted bird, tonight they go lighter. Delicate broth and savory bites. He pours egg batter into a mold and flips each side with a practiced hand. Minutes later, 2 waffles pop loose, steam rising, crowned with blueberries and jam. They eat with relish. The night grows darker. Their adventure pauses with a comma rather than a period. True travelers know, every night around a fire is the kindest preface to the next leg of the journey. Congratulations again. You tuned in at the right moment. This is Immersive Snow Camping. Relax your shoulders. Let the snow-muffled world calm you. Watch closely, and sleep will find you sweet and easy. As always, put your left foot over your right. Join the wild. Step into the frozen world. When a cold front sweeps the northern woods, it arrives severe and unblinking. In this blood-streaked world of winter, Will and his dog cut a lone figure. They plunge headfirst into the ice and snow. After patient searching, they find a spot. A rocky bulwark as a natural backstop. Snowdrifts fall like confetti, unwilling to stop. Will pulls out his gear, sets 2 ends around saplings and tensions the line. Slowly, the shelter takes shape. Halfway there, halting but hopeful. The ground is rough and uneven. He fits small branches into a tiny bed frame. At last, they have a place to lay down. Around the snow woods, many fallen trees lie scattered. Will gathers a heavy bundle and drags it back to his refuge. Quick hands. Staying alive is the only sure plan. A warm fire makes the air feel softer. Snow on the tent melts into beads and runs. Will fills an iron kettle with snow, boils it, and warms himself from the inside. Still, damp cold clings to bone. He must keep feeding the furnace. Steady, steady. Time ticks away and his stomach begins its own protest. He thinks of food, basic starch wrapped around a stick and charred over coals. The main act, though, is ribs, cut into small chunks, fried and sizzling. The smell immediate and cruelly appetizing. Anyone who smells that would drool. Night finally lands, heavy and exact. Will eats a proper hot dinner at last. Snow has stopped. He stokes the stove, lays out his bed, and lets the flames dance through the long black hours. The next day, the wind tears open the horizon. A blizzard arrives as if with a personal vendetta. His dog already ran back the way they came. Will chooses to stay, at least a few more days. After staking his ground, he gets to work. He turns the tent so the opening faces away from the wind, propping it up against the gale. It looks thin, but it will keep him safe. In this weather, lighting a proper fire is a challenge. He has no choice but to lean on a gas stove for now, a pragmatic shortcut. He boils water, warms it. The breath of hot steam is a small human luxury. With every gust, he's reminded how fragile things are. Still, that little flame matters. It steadies him. Even when the wind steals most of the heat, the fact there is a fire at all brings a small calm. After a while, the weather eases. Will prepares dinner again, because in the snow, every day takes more out of you than it gives. A hot meal cannot be skipped, no matter how the world shifts. The tent becomes a reliable little guardian, fending off storms, but the temperature keeps sliding downward. He adds a secret blend of spices to the pan and fries shiitake with meat, a fragrant, soul-warming dish. Rolled in flatbread, he devours it like a hungry wolf. Only after he is full will the night let him sleep. Every snowflake follows its own path as it drops, each one a love note the night writes to the forest. Those who understand learn silence. They learn to store strength in stillness. Will leans back against a tree and thinks about life and whether his dog made it home safe. Whatever the answer, sleep first. Get through this long dark. And when morning comes, the answer will come too.